Hello, everybody. How are you? It is so good to see you today. Just wanted to get the camera in range there. So we were putting up, okay, let me slow down. Okay, hopefully you can all see me, hear me. Hopefully everything is good. I love this new camera. And so we've been packing this morning because I have another retreat coming up. Oh, good. Thank you. And this retreat is going to be my last getaway before November. So, even though I've been sick for the last 2 weeks, I really, really do want to go. And because it'll be a long summer, and I'll say, gosh, I wish I was going somewhere. But let me try to. This camera looks a little lopsided. Maybe not. I guess I'm okay. If I sit, I'll just sit opposite. But anyway, uh, and just double check that you really can see me, that we got this going. Just to double check, hopefully. But I'm trying to see what I think of the new camera. But oh, I put a Ukrainian flag up on the thing because, as I have been for over 4 years, we want to thank, oh, thank you, Joe. So, I know Mayor answered great. I just wanted to make sure. Okay. So, but I have a retreat coming up this week, and it's the one at the Salvation Army camp. Helps raise funds for their camps for well-deserving children and underserved children, you might say. So I'm excited about that. It's only going to be Monday through Friday, so I will definitely be here for next Sunday. And what was I thinking? Mark has been phenomenal this morning because I've been like quickly packing and throwing stuff and going, oh, have I missed something? Have I missed something? I don't know where my list, here they are. I make copious notes of what to take. Because if I don't, then, I'll forget. And this retreat is in Denton, North Carolina. And it's a wonderful story. It is called Walter Johnson Camp. And that's because a man named Walter Johnson went to war in World War II, I believe. And he was very lonely at the war and really had no one to turn to. And the Salvation Army gave him that comfort and things to do, whatever. He never forgot what the Salvation Army did for him over in the war arena. And so when he passed, he didn't have relatives, and he gave his farm to the Salvation Army. What a gift. What a wonderful, wonderful gift. So, I'm trying to move the lamp back, just kind of getting a feel for the new camera. But anyway, it was a wonderful gift. And the children really, really appreciate it. I'm going to bring my agenda. It's so funny. If I miss one Sunday show, then the next Sunday I'm like, how do I do this again? But you all know that Mark and I came down with this upper and lower respiratory virus. I mean, within 24 hours and, 48 hours of the wedding. So when these things get going, watch out. Be careful. Avoid people who are sick. Go back to wearing your mask. Wash your hands. This was a tough virus. I don't mean to sound whiny, but it didn't feel good. And we just felt terrible and listless. And I'm still a little achy, like my neck bothers me, different things like that. But Mark is getting better. He still has some coughing. I still have some coughing. I'm a little worried when I go to the retreat. It's like, I don't want anyone to think I'm contagious. because after 2 weeks, I shouldn't be contagious. We'll see. But I am feeling good enough to, I think, to go ahead and go and have fun. And as long as I do not want to be a vector to spread it, so I wanted to make sure. So anyway, okay. Spring is busting out all over. We had at least one day it was going to be 83. I don't know what the temperature is, but it feels like it's already that today. And if Mark is on, I'd love to know what is our actual temperature right now because it's very, very warm. So, um, I'm hoping it's not going to be hot this week because I always love to go there and sit on their big deck they have right off the sewing room. I bring a real comfy chair that I can lean back and just sometimes I actually go to sleep. And so I'm looking forward to that. If it's too hot, I might be staying inside in air conditioning. But the redbuds are blooming. Unfortunately, the daffodils, it got too hot too fast and they kind of faded. But, I got to show you this. Mark was out working in the garden yesterday doing a beautiful job because I had been going out this week and pulling up certain weeds in the lawn so that we don't have to put poisons down that we can, because they were real easy to pull up and get them before the seeds ripened. But so he was out and he did a ton of work. He was out there for hours yesterday and he brought me a present. And I'm curious if any of you know what this is. I'd be really curious to see because we've got some pretty good, smart people. But he brought me this. And I want to tell you, I don't know, I guess it doesn't really have a smell, which is good because I'll tell you more about it when I tell you what it is. So he found it out in the woods on our property and close, very close. I can see why you thought it was cyclamen. I can see that. What it is, unless someone has a plant. Yay! Marcia, you're right. It is called a trillium. And this one is Trillium recur recur. Oh, now I forgot. It's something like recurve. Trillium recurve. Now, I just want to go on record to say, never dig up a trillium. They are protected wild species. Now, different states might have slightly different rules, but don't dig them up. The good thing is, the good thing is it was on our property. So, and he potted it up because he thought it was so beautiful, and I'm going to take and put it back out in the garden. So, he tickled me to no end. I told him that is a more special gift than buying me a gold necklace. Honest to goodness, I love those kind of gifts. So, but it's really sweet. The story I was going to tell you is there. Yep, we can always put it back. It's going to go. I'm going to put it. They are woodland plant that like a clay, loamy soil, not too wet. And I was reading up on them. And it has, supposedly, it can release an aroma. It blooms at the end of winter, very early spring. And those burgundy petals are the flowers. There you go, Bonnie. Now you see why I say how intelligent Miss Bonnie is. Do you know one of the clear signs of intelligence is a wicked sense of humor? So she's got that. Hi, Hopi. I'm meaning to write you back. It's been really tough. I am a baby. I'll admit it. I am not enjoying being sick. And I'm just still tired. I still wish I could just stay in bed all day. And that's not good. But I need to get moving again. So, but luckily we didn't really run a fever. It started to go up barely. It stopped. But be careful. If you get a cold, take it seriously. This cold it's in the family of RSV. It can go into bronchitis or pneumonia. So please don't take a chance. When it got into our chest, we took Mucinex and we were using decongestants when it was in our head. So rest, drink lots of fluid. Speaking of fluid, my most recent, they did a blood work on me when I went to have the stent removed. They found out that the kidney stones were not calcium after all, and they are urea based. And so they said, we want to find out what's causing this so we can prevent it from happening again. So I've read through different diets like almonds. I love almonds, can't have those. There are certain things, spinach, kale, that I have to be, asparagus, which I adore, I have to be very careful with. So I've read this stuff, but the very main thing, drink a lot of water. I add a little cranberry juice and a little lemonade. And we even got these little packets of, it says they're lemon crystals. I don't know. But I wanted to get as pure to lemon as I can, but those I can take with me to my retreat. And but the blood work came back beautiful. I mean, the only thing that was out of normal range was blood sugar, and that's because I'm type 2 diabetic, and even that wasn't bad. So, what are you going to do? They want me to drink 80 ounces a day. That's a lot. My goal is 3 of these a day, and hopefully they'll be happy with that. So, but this week I got in the mail a 24-hour specimen kit. And so they want to see what exactly is coming through my kidney. I was like, but you got to do it. I want to live as long as I can, so you have to do it. So that was a lot of fun. And of course, when I called FedEx to have them pick it up, they were here 2 hours early. So it's like, give us a few minutes. But anyway, so it's been a busy week. Pardon me. Well, so, whew, um, but it's funny when I laugh. That's what sets me off to coughing. But oh, I was telling you, the reason you have to drink a lot of water if you're at all prone to kidney stones or kidney disease is because any concentrations that go through your kidney can hurt the kidney. And any concentrations like of urea will bind and or uric acid will bind up to become kidney stones. And at having only one kidney, I cannot get kidney stones. That's a big no-no. And so because it can block things and then I'm in crisis. So, oh yeah, 2 liters. That's really good. Oh, thank you. So, hopefully when I'll get back the results of the specimen thing, and but what can you do? So my new life goal is to drink water. And it gets old. That's why I'm trying to find, when I say I put a little juice in it, I mean like 2 ounces for that whole cup. So it's just enough to flavor it to keep me drinking. So, okay. Now, so I am leaving tomorrow morning for the retreat. Mark is going to stay home and hold the fort down for me. And I know he'll be thinking of me every time the dogs start getting demanding to go in and out all the time. But luckily, he'll have his bike trip to the beach. So that will give him some relief. And okay, so I got everything packed. The car's loaded. The only thing I still have to pack are my clothes and my personal items, but all the sewing stuff is out there because that's the part that gives me the most angst is don't miss it. So, I will film the show and tell. We at that those retreats, they have the best show and tells. And Carol is like the queen of the show and tell herself. Can she looks at her quilt work. She does a lot of quilts for people. So, they hire her to make their quilts. But she gets up every morning. She treats it as a job. She gets her coffee, she goes into her studio, starts working, takes a lunch break, and then it's like a short nap, and then back to it until dinner time. Wow, that is impressive. If I spend 2 or 3 hours in the sewing room that day, I feel like that's a success. So I will definitely bring good photos of the show and tell. I was hoping, I've got a few things to take to show and tell, luckily. I was hoping to take my Myrtle Beach class quilt, and that is the Pecan Blossoms. But sadly, it's on the frame, and I just wasn't feeling good enough to it's on the frame, and I wasn't feeling good enough to get it done. And it's such a special quilt because it looks very old-fashioned. It looks very much 19th century. And so I want to do a really good job with it. So I said, no, I'm not going to rush it just to take it and show it. So they'll get to see it in November. All right. So now what I did pack to work on while I'm there is the Irish homestead. I really want to get that done, get it quilted, and mail it across the pond. And because they have done such a beautiful job with their house. If you don't know, I watch a YouTube channel called the Irish Homestead. And this couple has taken an Irish ruin and renovated it, and it's now their family home, and it's just lovely. And they're still working on lots of, they've moved into it, but there's a lot of little things to finish, and they're developing the grounds. So I want to get that quilt to her as fast as I can. And then do you remember my Italian floor tile quilt? I'm taking that with me because that's a really special quilt for me, and I can't wait to get that done. Um, so that's what I'll be working on the retreat. Then I'm sneaking in a fun little project, and I will show you that in just a moment. I try not to do this anymore because I do believe in using my stash because I have more stash than I have years left. But I happened to open an email from Angela Walters, and there was a fabric line she designed that I went, "Oh, I want that." And it was 9 fat quarters for $29. So I said, "Mark, do you have any special little thing you'd like to get?" And he said, "In fact, I do." And I said, "Well, good, because I have this fabric pack." I cannot tell you the last time I just went, "Ooh, I want that fabric." I've only bought fabric for a project like the wedding quilt or something, like that I had to do. So I ordered it, got it in just a few days, and looked at it and said, what am I going to do with it? I decided. Now, our Miss Mary has finished the 2 year the English paper piecing quilt I started 2 years ago, and I've got like 1 or 2 more blocks left. And so I already have my next English paper piecing project sitting there, fabric and the cardstock with all of the templates printed. And that's waiting because I have to finish the first one. I'm not going to let myself start a second one till I finish the first one. But looking at this fabric, I don't know why, but a little project snuck its way into my brain. So I'll share that with you today. So I'm going to kind of sneak in an appetizer English paper piecing. And so I'll show you that. Then, oh, I got some, besides that fabric, I got in a carving kit. I can't wait to show you. When I was in high school art, we had a carving session where you carved a linoleum tile, then you took and learned to print for it. And I took the poster board and I put all kinds of pieces of green and orange and yellow tissue paper all over it, okay? Then I carved a tiger. Was it a tiger? I think it was a tiger. And I carved that out of the block and then used that and printed the tigers across the sheet. And it came out so good that they asked if they could keep it on their permanent display. I'm sure by now, 50 years later, it's gone. But I've always thought I had done some carving back before, oh gosh, I guess about 8 years ago um when we were going to have a dye workshop here, back when I had my quilt group. And oh gosh, that was more than 8 years ago. And so I did some real quick rough carvings, hoping to dip them into the wax to use on the fabric. They didn't work out. The wax filled them in too quickly. That's why the people who really do the batik fabric have what they call chops, and it is copper wire, like a copper ribbon that is formed into the design and put on a big block of wood. And because if it's just a shallow carving, the wax fills in. If you give me just a moment, I'm going to press these little pieces I've got so many show and tells today, meaning, it's so funny. I was sitting there this week, especially since I didn't feel so good, and I was thinking, what am I going to do for a show this weekend? I really haven't done much. Well, came to today and I thought, well, I want to put bubbles on my Oscar the Octopus. And I carved this stamp out this week, so it would be good to try a little bit of that. And then, what else? Oh, I did take a day and make some polymer clay because I was tired of sitting and just coughing. So I said, well, I'll sit in there and work on a little polymer clay. So I'm showing you that, how I'm going to finish it. And so I've got all these things to actually show you me working on. So, okay. So now those have been ironed. That's good. I think I'm going to go ahead and bring you over and go right into, there's so much to show you. I might as well start now. So here, let me go to my detail camera. Oh, and just to let you know, I got some good photos from people. So we'll do it. We'll have our own good show and tell. Okay, so here we are. Let me bring the light over a little closer. All right. See, everything is a mess. So where to start? I mean, goodness, look at all this stuff. There's stuff everywhere. So here is my stamp. Whoops. Okay. What I ordered, this is the drawing. Actually, this is not a drawing. I printed this and drew the lines just to show. But then the carving kit came with carbon paper. So you can print a design, put the carbon paper on the rubber, what do you call them? These things you carve, and they're heavy and they're thick, and wow, I'm really impressed. And they carve beautifully. Now let me bring you down closer here. All right, so here it is, and I got 12 of these thick sheets. Then here is the carving knife that came with the set. Whoops, I'm sorry. I forgot you have to open this. Oh, don't you dare. Oh, no, it should go this way. Oh, boy, I might not be able to open it. The tips are in this end, and I don't think. Oh, man. Let me see. Whoops. I think it. Oh, there we go. Persistence is the key. So in here. Oh, no. I didn't even put them back in there. They're upstairs. Oh, poo. It has these tips that fit in here. This is what happens when you've been sick. Your brain kind of goes numb. You stick a tip in here and you tighten down this. There's a name for this, and now I've forgotten. And then you can take and carve, and it's very easy to draw on. So you can, or using your carbon. And so that's what I did. See how I put a couple little dots of glue in the back of the carbon, glued it to this, then you lay it on there, and then you take either a pencil or a pen and you draw on the lines, and then it will come out on the block. Okay, so these are called rubber blocks. They're like supposed to be a compressed rubber. So I've got 12 of those so I can make many more designs. And my thought was that I would like to, I would like very much to design some backgrounds for fabric to dye. Because this summer I would really like to do some more dyeing of fabrics. Now, the one problem I have is I didn't come down early enough to look for my brayer. And that's where brayers come in real handy. Because what you would do is put your paint on a disposable plate. Put your paint on the plate. Roll your brayer in it and so that the brayer picks up on the paint. And then that way, okay, let me get my tissue. Okay, that way, come on, go in the trash can. Okay. And what I'm going to try to do is a brayer would be perfect. But what I'm going to do just to show you, is just take this brush and try to brush the paint on the high areas. Because what this does is when the brayer rubs the paint on, it rubs them on the high areas. Then when you put it on your fabric or canvas or paper, it prints. And most of y'all know about a print making. And so I'm going to just do a quarter of this so we don't take up too much time. But I'm trying to do this. It's not the neatest way because you really do want it to stay on the high areas. Because the low areas then become the negative. The background shows through. And I will be doing most of the printing with black paint or a black ink dye for fabric, but I just chose this dark navy today. All right, so there we go. I've got some paint. You don't want to wait too long because the paint dries pretty quickly. So then I'm going to come over here. Oh my goodness gracious. And I should have had my thing to put on the bottom. You just lay this on top, and then I'm going to use this, and you just make sure that your piece of tile does not move. So hold it onto, and that's one good thing about this hard rubber. Um, it's soft enough that it's going to want to stick. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure, and then cross our fingers. Okay, well, this is where a brayer would come in very handy. You can see some of the design, but I did not get enough paint on all the raised areas because with a brush, it's really, really hard to do. But you get the idea, and when I come back from my retreat, I will make sure I have found my brayer. And then, because I remember putting it somewhere and saying, don't lose that. Well, guess what? I just don't know. But anyway, you can see now only the high areas where the paint is, only that is gives the design. Yeah, it dried so quickly. And if I put some acrylic medium in it too, which is better for printing it on fabric, then it won't dry as fast, and that will help a lot. So we will look more into this when I get back, but I just thought I would show you. It's a good idea to take your print with a damp cloth after you've used it, or put it in a sink and give it a good wash off. You don't want the paint to dry thickly in the background pieces because that would ruin. So what I would do when we do this again, I'll have a tray of water that I can then drop this into, because if not, that paint will dry, fill in these crevices, and you'll lose the design. But my goal is to put some of my own designs on fabric and then do a dye over it. And I think that would be a lot of fun. So that's something I want to do this summer. So let me try to get my hands clean. But this is one of the things, it was so easy to do the digging. You have, make sure you understand that the knife blades are sharp, and you have to be careful. You don't want to go too deep. You don't want to go too shallow. But you can see that I did deep enough. If I got enough paint on it, this design would come out even better. So we'll do more. And I did this design and I was having a hard time getting the lines crisp enough. Mark said, do you realize that straight lines are the hardest thing to do in something like this? So if I had done something more freehand, it would have been a lot easier. So, but that's the one thing, that's going to be our new thing that we look at. Whoops, I moved some of these wire pieces. So then the next thing I was working on is I had a day where I did some, some polymer clay, and I made this little bowl. I don't know, I'm not overly happy with these. They look a little elementary to me, but I had an idea in my head. It did not come out quite the way I wanted it to, but this turned out pretty neat. I made a cane that had, because I wanted it to look like fabric that had a pattern on it. This one came out pretty cute. And I wanted to tell you that I glued the backing on this, and this is super glue, is a very good glue to work to get something to stick to polymer clay. So just remember some good super glue. And this is actually cute. I think I would like to wear this. I did like the way this came out. This one didn't come out quite as well. So having the blue around the edges, I think made it better. But I was thinking I was gonna make a gift for the ladies um who run the retreat, but I'm not happy enough with that work. So, yeah. So anyways, then I said, well, let me try something that Jessima Tutorials Samantha does. Let me try something like that. And these look so dark. And I used the mica powders with them. And I took a translucent and black clay mix and then mixed the 7 different colors of mica powder to color the different layers and then stack them up and then trim them off. And let me see if these, let me bring, hold on just one second. I'm going to bring this a little closer to the light because once you put, whoops, there it is. Well, it's still not, let me tilt the camera a bit more. I want you to see it in the light. I'm having a hard time figuring this out. Okay, there it is. So it's supposed to look like I think it was called rainbow tanzanite, or I don't know. It's one of those ites. But once you put the finish on, it brings out the colors better. So now let me move back over here. So what I'm doing, because I don't like to take the time to sand it and polish it, so I'm dipping it in to water-based polyurethane. It's an acrylic base. And oh, here's a cute one that I did. And these are it's a little leaf stamp and with all the different colors in it. But you can see how it's just draining now. So I was going to show you how I do this so that if you ever want to try it. Because I try to keep the polymer clay thing as inexpensive as I can. But you know, any hobby can get, a little pricey. So I'm taking some of this wire that I didn't like and using in jewelry making because it's just too stiff. I'm putting it through the hole I made in the bead, and then I bring it up here and I twist the ends like this, bring this down and just give it a twist. Okay, so now I've got a little hanger. Then let me get my camera where you can see. Good. I'll show you this. This is a different angle. So now, so I'm going to stir this back up just to make sure in the time I've been talking it didn't separate. I like using water base. It has less, the oil bases have, the oil-based polyurethanes need to be done with a lot of ventilation. This is much better. And I'll let the excess drip off. But then, let me tap it just a little, getting that excess off. Then I bring it to this box and I put it across this wire like that. And now they hang in there. The excess drips off in the box. So I cut a bunch of these pieces of wire, will be used over and over. And I take the wire, just put it through the hole. These are going to be earrings for my daughters, but I'm hoping they'll lighten up. I don't know. I might have used too much black in it. I don't know. But I'm hoping as I coat them, the colors will come out more. And some of these pieces, this was made out of using the scraps and just kind of layering them on the surface and then using one of my clay cutters to cut the shape. And so at the end of the show, if enough is dripped off, I'll show you these so you can, well, in fact, you know what? I do see another one that I have. Let me see if this is dripped enough. Um, it shows up a little bit better, but it's still very dark. So I'm going to do this again, but next time I'm going to use more translucent, less black, because it just made them so dark. And it could be that my baking, I'm new to baking this clay, and so I've got a lot to learn. And it's so funny. I tried mixing a good color with the liquid clay, and I had a face mold. I baked it too hot, too long, and it burnt. So that wasn't a very pretty face. And then I didn't quite get the liquid polymer down in the nose part of the mold good. So it was a burnt face with no nose. So that didn't quite work, but I'll keep trying. Now let me see. This. So now I'll hang this one next. But you decide if you want 2 or 3 coats. I'll probably at least do 2 on these. And let me just move through this really quickly. Now, I have seen Samantha from Jessima Tutorials put a good number of them on a stronger wire, and then she had a bigger can of this polyacrylic, and she was able to just hang them on the can so that it dripped back down into the can. But this little tiny can I have, I wouldn't be able to fit much in it. So, and I don't do that many um, polymer clay things, so I'm not going through the polyacrylic as fast as she does. So just a couple more, if you'll bear with me. And you can put 2 on the string, but you've got to put space in between them because they cannot touch or it will ruin. I'm going to go ahead and try to put 2 on this one, and I'll show you. I'm going to put 2 on this wire and show you how I do this. Oops, come on, come on. Trying to get in through that little tiny hole there. Okay, and to get these holes, I punch the holes before I bake them because there's this little hand drill you can use, but oh my goodness, it's a lot of work. All right, so let me bend this. I try to make the wire a little bit stronger, especially if I have 2. I told Mark I wish I hadn't put all the little Christmas ornament hangers up, because you know how they have these new, very cheap wire hangers? That would have been perfect to use. All right, so what I do is I bend the wire to put, that keeps them spaced. And then I dip them. Okay, and then hang this over here. Oops, make sure I'm not touching. Don't let them touch. That'll mess them up. All right, I just have 2 more to go real quick because I do want to get these done. If any of these come out pretty enough, I might make scissor fobs out of them. And a scissor fob is just, you put it on um, a little lead that you then hook into the handle of your scissors, and that can be a gift. I don't really think they're going to come out beautifully enough, so I'm probably going to have to just go in and say, I don't have gifts for you this time. Not that I don't have to have a gift. It's just something I like to do because I appreciate what they do. But I didn't have gifts. I don't think I had any gifts for Myrtle Beach either. I got too busy. So I need to make my gifts earlier in the year instead of waiting till right then. Okay. All right. Carefully. All right. So just one more. And then these wires, I'll just put them, oops. I'll put the wires in the box for a later date. But let me do this last one. Now this one shows up a little better. So that part is nice. But now let's see what it looks like once you dip it. Usually any finish you put on them really brings out the color, the striations in it. So, okay. I see Miss Mary's here. Miss Joe. I did make gifts for little baskets. Oh, that was for my, you have such a good memory. That was for my November. Yeah, you know what? You're right. I made fabric baskets for them for November. That was a good enough gift. That should do both. It's the same lady, so that was a good gift. Okay, so here's the last one. Sometimes you'll see me kind of bang it. That's just to make the excess drip off a little faster. And knowing that where I bang it will soon be covered up with more that's sliding down the bead. I think this one's going to be the prettiest. Now, there is a possibility that I baked it slightly too hot or for too long. So, this is it learning. I have a big learning curve. So here are all of the beads in here. And now it's just a matter of letting them dry. And then I can put another coat on them. Ooh, I'm seeing some good color on this one. Now, if you were Samantha at Jessima, look at that color. That's pretty cool. But anyway, if you were nice young Samantha, then, you could take and buff them and put some kind of wax on them and buff them and sand them and, oh my goodness gracious. But at my age, it better be quick and easy. So, all right, I'm going to hang that back up, but whoop, don't let it touch. Oh, move things. Move them a little bit more, Deb. Hold on. I got a little crisis here. I don't want to mess them up because it will definitely leave a ding in the finish. And whoops, nope, nope, nope. Oh, I was doing so good. Okay. Move that one down just a little. There we go. I don't think any of them are touching. Some look like they might be, but they're not quite. Okay, get this. Okay. This is tricky. I think the problem was I bumped it. That made them all move and want to stick. Come on, let go. Oh my goodness. So, it's hard because let's be honest. If this stuff was easy, then everybody would do it, right? But I will be doing. Now, if any of these that touch too much and it really left a rough spot or a void, then what I would do is I would go and do a light sanding and then dip it again. And all of these are going to get a second coat. But now here is, let me bring the light a little closer. Here is this one as it gets more dry. I think that's really pretty. And the back is just the black. But it makes it look like it's some kind of stone that has all these different layers. And that is from the mica powders. And it's a little messy, honestly, to do the mica powders. All right, let me quickly, I don't want to have to breathe this. Let me see. Yeah, pregnant women should not spend a lot of time with this stuff, but that won't be happening. That's not a possibility. Any of you ladies, when after you went through the change, did you ever dream that you were expecting and then you tell the doctor your age and they're like, this is not possible. So I'll never forget, I had this friend years back and she called to say, well, I'm 40 today. And I said, my smart alecky thing is, I said, well, it could be worse. You could be pregnant. And she called back 2 weeks later and said, guess what? So, whew, I made sure that was not going to happen to me. No way, no how. I loved my kids, but when I was done, I was done. Now, these little things that I made, I use a paintbrush and brush the finish on these. So, okay. Now, the next exciting thing is, I need this pen. I was experimenting with how to put bubbles on my Oscar. And before I show you the close-up, I want to show you, oops, let me get it right. Okay. I want to show you my Oscar because he's just about finished. Come on, why is this thing not working? Well, there it is. Okay. All right, here is Oscar. And he was totally finished. Totally finished. And I'll show you what I did to the back. Because I think some of you or some one of you suggested I do a facing to finish the quilt off. And I read up about it and it said facings can make the quilt a little more exciting because the edges of the animal just stop. And I thought, well, I'd like to make it dramatic, you know. I love that. Now I've got about 20 layers of triple thick on that eye because I thought if I make the eye really shiny, it will make it, see how it stands out more. So here he is. Once he was all, oh, and I want to show you, Mary gave me the idea of using a silver. I put a slight little touch of pinky in it and then put blue centers, like a sky blue center. Then when I was all done, I'm going to take you over now to the close-up camera to show you the final step. Let me see, too, if I can carefully move this. Oh, not a time to sneeze. No, no. Thank goodness. Okay. So, what I did is I came back in with my Sharpie marker because that's what worked best. And I did a nice outline line. I colored the outline all the way around the outside edge because that gave him a little more oomph. And in fact, I told myself that I was going to try, let me put this right. Whoops. No, it's not wanting to go on that. Let me see. I was wondering if I got a larger marker and made, oh, this marker's pretty dry. Let me see if I have another one. If I used them more often, ooh, I think this one should be. Oh, yeah, this is a good one. Okay, so what I want to do is just touch that line up again. Okay. Now let me go. Let me just do another line. Oh, that's good. That's really good. Okay, because I was using a thinner one upstairs, and I said, I think if I use one of my big ones from downstairs. I like it. I like it. And I've just noticed that when you do some of these faces or creatures, outlining it can really give it presence. Look at this. Wow. Do you see what that does? So, all right. So now let me go around on the top of the eye here. Oh, and just to let you know, when I was about halfway through putting the triple thick gloss on the eye, I noticed that the black parts of this iris weren't showing quite as boldly as I wanted. So I got, even though I painted it the first time, I got the Sharpie and went back over that iris and then put more coats on. And I think that was very important. Okay, so let me come on around here. All right. I think that's really good. It's small but effective. And so then what I'm going to do later on, not right now, but I'll just go all the way around him again and just emphasize that line. Dolores, do you know why or do you use outlining when you make creatures? um, I don't know what it is that it just makes him pop off of the fabric, and I didn't know. Dolores might know why that's important. I might even come down right here where a part of his anatomy to give that a little more oomph. So I will be taking Oscar to my retreat, and I'll take this pen. But see, even doing this, that coloring just shows that this is an inner part between two legs. And I think it just defines it better. And I know that in real life we don't have black lines around our bodies, but what we do have are shadows. And our eye is able to see that we are three-dimensional. When we do these artworks, they're two-dimensional. And so that makes a difference. So any little tricks like this can help kind of flesh that drawing out to real life. So I think this is going to be very important to do. And I'll go back up to that eye. Look how that eye just pops out at you now. And I know that one of these things is his breathing apparatus. I think it's supposed to be this one. So I might give a little bit more emphasis here. All right. Now, I told you that I did some quilting to kind of look like water lines behind him just to show that he's in water and it's moving. I haven't painted these, and I don't think I will, because this is supposed to be darker and under him the sun's not getting through. But I did come back and quilt some water lines because I didn't want this to be the water to puff up behind him. I wanted this to stay flat and have, if anything, him to pump up. It's usually the contrast. I had a favorite piece that just wasn't working, and my daughter suggested outlining it with orange, and it really made the face pop from the background. Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you, Dolores. She is our resident artist, and I mean artist. So I love, if I can pick her brain, I love it. All right. before I show you, I want to put bubbles on this, okay? Before I show you that, I'm going to show you how I finished it. So what I did is got more of the same fabric. I sewed it to, let me pull these pins out. I sewed it, oh, pull that one out too. I sewed this to the front, just 1/4 of an inch. I graded it if it had a lump or just too much bulk. Then I flattened it out after I sewed it. I folded it over this way flat, and I stitched 1/8 of an inch so that it would help it want to fold and stay folded out of the way. What you don't want is to have this show from the front. The whole reason of having a facing is where it just, boop, it ends. That's it. So I looked online, and then I made sure that I came along. Do not iron the paint. It's just better if you don't. Put a cloth on it, or I do all my ironing from the back. And the paint is fine if you do that. But if you iron from the front, I'm sure the paint would get a little sticky. So I'm heating up my iron because I want to show you how you can easily iron this from the back. You just make sure you see a little bit of that front, so that you know then you are not going to be seeing the facing from the front. But you just make sure you always push the iron away from that edge. Pull it to the back and just letting it get nice and warm. Pull it to the back. Now, then I came along, so after I did this, and I tucked under the excess, and then I came along and carefully, holding that carefully, used the pins. And the reason is because when you hand stitch it down using an invisible slip stitch, you want to make sure that it's pulled nice and taut so it can't roll back to the front. Because trust me, it will if it can. So, and then I try not to have the pin go through the paint because that paint's too special. Then on the ends, I made a triangle. And I saw this woman do this. And I think I might leave them open at this point because they become, whoops, I don't think I was showing it. This triangle, and this triangle was on this side. And this was the first piece. Then the other pieces came on top of it. So when I flipped it over, this would be showing. And, but then I take and fold these corners back like this. And I then will do an invisible slip stitch and stitch the straight parts down. But I think I'm going to leave this free in case I want to use this as a hanging feature in the future. Now, there was one corner where is it? Okay, right here. That I was in a hurry, I was tired, I was sick. I cut these corners back a little too much, but I'm not going to worry about that. This is in front of it, and I'll just tuck it like this, so there'll be this little opening. Nobody's going to notice, and just stitch it down firmly there. So, and if these roll at all, I might have to do a little tack stitch here and here to make sure that with time and hanging, they don't come loose. Here's where I've already slip stitched down. And so I just need to finish around the other side. But now that you've seen how I finished it, I'm going to show you. I've got to remember to take this with me. That's too important. Oh, one of my earrings fell. Oh, poo. Okay, put it back. Okay. That probably messed it up. Yep, I'm going to have to probably do some sanding on that one. All right, so what I'm going to do, I tried different things. I tried using UV resin to make water drops. And then I tried using glue to hold them on. Well, the glue didn't work. At first it seemed to work wonderfully, but then I could tell that it was very easy to flick them loose. So this is a UV light. We just got a bigger one in because the little tiny one that came with the kit we bought, you had to constantly punch it because it takes longer to get a good finish than you would think it does. So that was the problem. All right. So here are these. These are little resin that I made on parchment paper so they wouldn't stick. And I cured them, and I tried very carefully to make them reasonably round, but bubbles don't have to be round. They kind of want to be, but the water can mark on them. Now what I just did is took that resin bubble and I took a white marker, which is probably an acrylic paint, and I did a circle around them so that when I turn them over, they look more like a bubble. Okay? In fact, if you want to make bubbles, you can take and use a straw and dip it into white acrylic paint, and then just take and stamp it onto your cloth, and that will look like bubbles. That does a remarkable job. Now, I'm not, oops, no, this one's not going to work. It somehow got blue paint on the back, and I tried painting it white. It's not going to work. All right. So then I went online and I started looking up bubbles. How do bubbles really look underwater? Okay. And this is just the reason I want to do these bubbles is just because I want to really emphasize that he's underwater. Okay. And I absolutely loved making him. Painting him was so much fun. So what I think I'm going to do, Mark tried this and it seemed to work really good. He loves doing my experimentation. He took a piece of fabric, and this is a bubble he had made that he used the resin to glue down. And this is one where he just put the resin right on the fabric. So I wanted to try something. So I'm going to make a bubble, but before I put the resin on, I'm going to draw this white acrylic pen. I'm going to draw the size of the bubble I want to make. That way, when I drop the resin on it, it already has the color under it. Now let me see. Okay, which resin? Oh, yeah. All right, there's the resin. So, oh, let me see. No, I don't want to do that. No, 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 no. I haven't used this resin in a while. Let me, there we go. Unscrews. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop some of this resin. Now this is a good idea to do in a well-ventilated area. Okay, so there's the resin. Now what I'm going to do is quickly put this light on it and let it cure, especially before it spreads out too much. And I don't put my fingers or anything under the light. These are just tiny little LED bulbs, but supposedly it can increase your risk of skin cancer, so I'm being careful. So anyway, so you just put this under. I have a timer. Usually you time it, and I would say about 15 minutes is a good timer for this one. But I'm glad to see that the paint is still under it, making it look like a bubble. So what I'm going to do, because you can see that, what I'm going to do is let this sit here. Whoops, careful. Well, let me see if at least I can get it. If I can get it to set, then I can let it keep cooking later. There it is. It's looking good. And see how using the little white marker below it? So thank you, Mark, for helping me test this, because I was trying to find the best way I could. Now, I tell you what I'm going to do. Whoops. I'm going to turn that off. All right. What I'm going to do, because hopefully, yes, this is partially set up. What I'm going to do is take some more of that resin, and I'm going to place these other. I'm going to use it as a glue and place these on it like that. Let me do one here, like that. Okay, don't want it on my fingers. And like I say, this is a good thing to do with good ventilation. I'll have to make sure to go open my door very soon and get some ventilation through here. I want all of my highlighting to be in the same general direction because that indicates where the sun is coming from, and that's what gives you the highlight. Okay, let me come in here. I thought the biggest bubbles would be at the bottom and they would get smaller. That's only sort of right. Okay. Whoops, that one was sliding. I need to hurry up and get these glued down because they will slide. All right. Now, I have not tested to see what the long-term consequence is of using this. In my art quilts, I enjoy very much experimenting, so I'm not as worried. And I can still add more to this later. So, if I do add more, I think I'm going to do the painting of the fabric and then the painting of the fabric followed by putting the resin right on the fabric. All right, so now let me close this up because I don't need to be breathing in any more of this. And get my fan turned on. All right, so I'm putting the resin up quickly and turning back on my light. All right, and you can also, on a sunny day, use the UV resin outside, which is also a nice thing. Make sure things are where you want because they will set up pretty darn quickly. So, just want to, in some places where these moved, there's resin, and I don't want the resin to seep everywhere. So I'm cleaning them up and then making sure they're pushed into place, getting my hand out of there. All right. All right, so let's just leave that. I've got my timer. I'm going to set it on 15 minutes. So there's my timer. Let me get this off my hands. You know, we do have to be careful when we work with some of these art supplies because honestly, you'd have to research what's in them to see how safe they are. So I always err on the side of caution. And, but, we don't even know now what water bottles are doing to us. So it gets a little scary in the real world. But I love my art. And I'm going to put this box. I moved the little box and they slid a little. So I'm going to get those. It looks like they're drying pretty, yeah, they're not sticking now. Thank goodness. Okay. Oops. The newer ones are a little stickier. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, boy, we got a lot cooking today. So, the final thing there's actually another thing I want to show you. I'll show you after we do show and tell. I've got a Miss Polly who has been doing Dorset buttons. And I'm so excited about that. So let me move this a little out of the way if I can. Okay. And the good thing is, if you want to use the actual generator of UV rays, the sun, it only takes a few minutes. Okay. So now what I'm going to show you is, I'm going to move these out of the way so I don't show too soon. Oh, I've got several. Oh my goodness, too many things to share. I'm making a pincushion for the retreat. Nothing like waiting to the last minute, but I have been busy. But before I show you the pincushion, I'm going to show you the new fabric because I'm very, very excited about it. Boy, that timer's going to get on my last nerve. Let me move it farther away. I've got my hearing aids in, and it's like, oh my goodness, that's driving me nuts. So, okay. So this is the fabric that I saw on Miss Walters, Angela Walters' website. And it just was so fascinating. Quilting is my therapy right there. Yay. And I just love her. I loved her Midnight Quilter. And there's a little thank you for the order. Isn't that pretty? Wow. Wow. So let me bring this down. Okay. So thank you for the thank you card. That'll make pretty beads. You know what I do? To make a bead from a postcard, you go to the corner of the postcard and you split it. There you go. And then you can, that way it'll help stick. The shiny parts don't stick well when you're making them. And this way, when you roll them up, everything will stick to the rougher, more porous part. All right, so here we are. Here was the unifying fabric, which I thought, oh, that's cool looking. I just love that moonish blue. I don't know what color you'd actually, maybe some type of turquoise, and then the blue and gray, and the navy. And then, whoops, there's this fabric to go with it. Now I am going to look in my stash and try to find that color. I would say that color, it looks kind of a reddish. I would say it's rust color. It's not really red and it's not really brown. So it's rust. And you see it again on this gray. So I'm going to find some of that rust color because I think that would make a nice addition to this fat quarter pack. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? So Miss Angela designed this fabric herself. Isn't that pretty cool? Look at this one. I love that. And then this. And lastly, this. And like I told you, I don't do this often, but I saw it and just said, I want it. It's called Pebble and Petal Dandelions, but Pebble and Petal is the name of the fabric line. And there it is. Okay, so when I saw this, I thought, okay, what am I going to make with this? And I looked and I know that they're just small pieces. And for some reason I said, I want to make an English paper piecing. And I want to do it with small pieces. So here I went online, went on Pinterest, that's where I looked for free ideas. And this is a free design sheet. I will load this up, scan it, and put it on our site, our groups.io. But okay, years ago, 20 years ago, maybe 30, I said there are two things I would never do. One of them was hand sewing applique, doing the handwork. The other one was I would never do hexagons. Well, I've lied because I have done everything hand sewing and I adore it. That's my favorite thing now. Even hand quilting, I just am not fast enough. But I've tried to stay true to at least one thing. And it's like, I'm not going to do hexagons. But guess what this really is? It's an elongated hexagon, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? So I guess what I've learned is never say never, because you have to eat those words and sometimes they're not pleasant. So, but what I'm going to do, and Miss Mary, I didn't know if you have some small bits of fabric you might like to try this, but I will put it on our website. What I did then is went and found free templates, and I'm using the 1 1/4 inch size. So then when I got this, I saved the free template, then I brought it into my Word document, and that way I could, actually no, I don't even think I had to put it in Word. I think I honestly just was able to print it from saved. And so it's all elongated, which these are called honeycomb because they're elongated hexagons, and then these squares. So what I did is got a 1 1/4 inch square, because you notice the square has to fit on one of the sides, and each side is 1 1/4. Make sure that when you print off of the internet, they'll have a little gauge up here, and it says, when printed at the correct size, this box will measure 1 inch square. Well, look right there. There's 1, there's 2. That is 1 inch. Now, if you printed it out and it wasn't 1 inch, you go back to your computer and you take off the setting that says fit to page. You do not want fit to page. You want actual size. Now, me being a cheapo, you know how cheap I am. I really, truly am. I took and was able to cut a couple extra pieces of these from the one thing. So I cut out one and then drew it on here and here and here, and to get out a little bit more. And but then I've already done all of the squares. I've done most of these, but I think I have 4 pages left. I cut these all out. Then when I'm at the retreat, I will take, and in fact, you know what I want to do? I think somewhere I'll show you during show and tell. I have a picture of what this will look like. See how the pieces interlock? So on this piece, you've got these two. On the next block, you wouldn't put these two because you'll bump it into those two. But what I'm going to do is print off several black and white varieties of the quilt, and that way I can decide what color combinations, because it looks like 4 colors per block. So I'll vary these so I have a little bit of sparkle in the quilt. All right, so this is my paper piece project, and shame on me. I don't really care, but shame on me for not finishing the other one. But every once in a while, you have to just throw caution to the wind, jump into a new project, which gets you all excited about sewing again. And then hopefully you will go back. Oops, our timer's almost done. But then hopefully you will go back and finish up the other project, and you've had some excitement, you know? All right, so now this timer's getting ready to go off. I think everything is looking really good. I'm hoping they're glued down good enough. I might have to put a little super glue, because super glue I think would also work on these. I'm not sure, but I think. So anyway, are you ready to see his bubbles? I think. Yep, up, went off. So turn off the light. All right, now I will come back to the main screen and show you his bubbles. I love trying. I know I am very much in touch with my inner child, but I love putting the little unexpected. Whoops. Let me try this. Whoops. Okay, come on, camera. Work with me here now. Okay. Oh, gosh. It's a funny camera. It's like trying to find where exactly. But whoops. No. Oh, they're right here. Okay. There are the bubbles. And I think it just adds, well, thank you, Marcia. I think it just adds just that little touch of whimsy. Yeah, and you know what? They look pretty good, don't they? Having the white outline. See the white outline? And on the bigger ones, I have a little shine mark. I think that gives the bubbles the realism they needed. What do you think? Is that a good one for y'all? I think that's pretty good. And I don't really think I need new ones. I think I don't want to do too many. I don't want to take away from Oscar, because Oscar's very handsome, if I do say so myself. So there's Oscar. And once I finish the little edging, he is done. He is done. So there is my Oscar the octopus. And I think I wanted to make him look regal, and I think he does. So, all right. So those are UV resin bubbles. And you can either put them on the cloth and make them and cure them there, or you can make them on parchment paper, something where they won't stick. Don't use wax paper, because the wax paper wants to stick to them. Parchment or silicone sheet, something like that, and then add them to the quilt, and I think that is cute. All right, so now we're done with that, and we're done with the paper piecing. Now, oh, just so you'll know, you take and cut the fabric 1/4 of an inch all the way around, bigger than the template. And I take my templates, I don't sew the fabric to them. I take my cutout template, on the back will use a glue stick, and run it around the edge, then fold the fabric over, and it sticks, and they are wonderful, and it comes off, and then I don't have to. With my arthritis, I do not want to sew through paper, and I don't want to ding the paper up that badly because I plan to use these over and over. And so once you get that done and the glue stick and they're done, then it's just a matter of putting the two pieces right sides together, doing a whip stitch to sew them together. To me, it's fun. It is easy. It's something I can do in my recliner watching my favorite BritBox show. So, with Deb, it has to be fun. It has to be relatively easy. Um, you know, I have standards. So, okay. So right now we are going, oh boy. Well, we have time. Okay. So let me tell you what instead of actually showing you the instead of actually showing you how I do this pen cushion, I'm going to kind of walk you through it, tell you. And that way we'll have time to go to show and tell and then to come back, and I was just going to show you some of my Dorset buttons, but I want you first to see Miss Polly's. Okay, I didn't know what to do with how to make this pen cushion. We're having a pen cushion exchange. Now, the inside of me said, oh, wow, I'd love to make a featherweight sewing machine pincushion. And I even knew the turn wheel on the end of the machine. I said, use a bobbin with the little holes in it. That would look so cool for that. And I was trying to think of what other kind of things I would use for what. But that's a lot of work. And you're not going to get that done in 1 week with everything else I've had to do. Then I noticed there was this lid. It was like the pickle jar lid that had been sitting in my sewing room upstairs. So then I took some toile fabric, which I think looks so nice and dainty, and I glued it to the lid. Then I looked at egg shapes, but I said, because I thought it's spring, it's Easter, maybe I can do something with the Easter theme. But the egg, you'd want the pointy part at the top. That doesn't give you a lot of room for pins. And I would like to think this gets used. Now, so I just took 4 pieces and cut them into, pardon me, my hearing aids trying to pop out. I have little tiny ear holes in them, so they want to pop out. It's the only thing tiny about me. That and my little fingernail. I have pretty small little fingers. So, and when you're a big girl, you appreciate anything that's small. So, but anyway, I took and made this shape out of wool and made 4 of them. And so, whoops, okay. So then I hand sewed them together, okay? And then I realized I would have to bring the bottom in because I didn't want to do excessive pleating to have it fit in the lid. The reason I wanted to put a lid on the bottom is I hate it when you get a nice pin cushion and you stick the pin in, or you go to carry it somewhere and the pins get you. So this has a nice hard bottom to keep you from getting stuck. So I took all my wool. I looked at my wools and tried to find pretty colors to put, and I'll bring you down to show you this one. All right, so here it is, and I used a mauve and a dusty purple. You were doing your buttons wrong. Oh, okay, sweetie. You don't worry. I saw the thing. Maybe I'll work on one too, because I said, well, I'll try that too. But then I just cut these little petals and then I offset them and I just put one thing to stitch them in place. And I just used the more spring type colors of my real wool. Uh-oh, this needs another one, a third one. So I'll put 3 around here. And then I'm going to come back with pearl cottons and I'm going to put centers in the flowers with these 2. And I thought, oh, this is a cool one. So I'll do some leaf designs. And then, whoops, let me see. Oops, oops, oops. Here I have some little centers for some flowers. Here's my extra flower that I need. And then I made some of the real wool leaves. And they will also be sewn on. And, oh, here's some more. Okay, so I did lots of leaves because I'd like to tuck in a leaf, a wool leaf, by each flower on there. And some of these little centers that I don't need are going to end up looking like little buds for flowers. And here, oh, there's a nice yellow. Oh, there's even a purple and a mauve. So I still have these that I can decorate it with. Oh, I think I'm going to put a yellow one on this. Well, I'll go ahead and show you how I do that. That's pretty simple. If I can find a hand sewing needle. I have a feeling I can find one down here. I mean, goodness gracious. What kind of sewing room would it be if it didn't have a hand needle? I'm going to go ahead and use a gray, light gray. Let me thread my needle. Okay, here we go. All right, now I need scissors to cut it with. Okay, here we go. And now you could always use invisible thread. You could use matching thread. But the good thing about wool is it's very forgiving. Very forgiving, and it hides things. So I didn't see a need. You can't see what color thread that I sewed the flowers on the first time. All right, so here I'm going to put these together. You offset just little. I just cut these out on a whim. I didn't, find any pattern. And just 2 4-leaf patterns. And here it is. Whoops, now this has pencil on that side, so I'm going to flip that over. Let me flip both of these over. There's some of this yellow had a drawn shape on it that I had already cut out from something else. I don't know when. All right, so I've knotted the thread. At least I hope I have. Yep, I've knotted the thread. I just come up and go right back down. Now, what I am going to end up doing is I was trying to decide. I want a bead. I think these are too garish. So I'm not going to be able to match things because the only real good seed beads I had are in here. But I have some interesting colors. So what can I find? I want a center for that flower. I think one of these little green ones would work. Yeah. So let me try this while I've got that thread still there. Okay. Put that bead down, get my needle ready, because I think I'm inside. Yep, I'm inside. So I'm going to come back through the flower like this, and I'm going to then feed that seed bead onto the needle. Come on. Now this is where my big hands get me in trouble. Where did that bead go? Well, oh, there it is. I didn't think I'd find it. Okay, it's on the needle. And if you use, I'll give you a hint, if you use a small between needle, they will fit the seed beads. If it doesn't, then that means the seed bead is defective. Okay. So there we go. See, isn't that cute? All right. So it's just a small little touch. I'll go around to each flower and put a little center bead in there. And then, oh, while I'm right here, let me go ahead and sew on a leaf. The beautiful thing is they don't have to be fully sewn down. So I'm going to put this little one right there. Now, I think I'm underneath again, so I will come up right here, right there. I love working with wool because you don't have to be particular. It will not ravel, and which means you don't have to have it perfectly sewn down. So I just put 2 little stitches in it. Now, if I had tons of time, I maybe would do some little sewing of matching thread and put veining in it, but I don't have time. And it's just a pincushion. It's not an heirloom. And so here we go. Oh, and just wanted to tell you too, my daughter and her husband had a wonderful time at their resort in the Caribbean. Whoops, the thread caught one of my petals. Let me gently ease it out. Come on. Come on, thread. Let go of it. I should have double checked. I was in a hurry. Okay, come on, petal. Let go. Let go. I just have to tease it back out where it got caught on that thread. There. Got a little beaten up, but luckily with wool, it's pretty tough stuff. There we go. So now, whoops, it would help if I'm under the camera. So here's my flower with my little bead in the center, and here's a cute little leaf. So I think this is going to be cute. I am probably going to take some ribbon, and maybe I will put the ribbon, maybe I will run the ribbon up the seams. That might be cute, you know. I'll see. Or I may do little bows and put them around the flowers. So I haven't quite decided. It's kind of, let's see how it goes. But that is so cute. And look how by putting the bead there, the little wool wants to make a little 3-dimensional flower. So then what I'm going to do is I have some walnut shells, and I put the walnut shells first in the wool. Then I will put the polyester batting, make it nice and tight, nice and tight. That's always the hardest thing. You cannot believe how much batting it takes to fill up any kind of shape. It will surprise you. But if you're not allergic to nuts, I love putting walnut shells because they will help sharpen and keep clean your sewing needles, to help keep them from rusting. And what I probably will also do is grab one of my little packs of the desiccant. You know how when you get packages or medication, it has a little package of desiccant which says do not eat? Because what it does is absorbs moisture and keeps the product fresh, and it'll also help draw the moisture. I'll put that in the very bottom. It'll draw the moisture to it and keep your needles from rusting. Because I have before opened up an old, one of the tomato style pin cushions, and there were 25 needles in there, but most of them were corroded and rusted. I even found some of this pearl cotton that I might use to do, who knows, maybe I'll make a little bee on it. I don't know. Depends on how much I get, how fast I get my clothes um full packed. So, but then what I'll do is I'll take probably hot glue and glue it into place. But this first will all be, everything will be sewn and firm and around the stuffing, and then I'll hot glue it and glue that into place. And that's going to be, this is going to be my little pin cushion that I put in the exchange. So nothing extraordinary, nothing fancy, but I think it's a sweet little thing. All right, so now let me bring you back up here. Now it's time for show and tell. So don't forget, bubbles. I'm so happy they turned out. You just don't know. In fact, ooh, let's just pull out one of these and see. Now, there was that one that I thought looked really good. If it didn't stick on anything. Okay, here is this one. I see I left a fingernail line in but I wish you could see. Let me see if I hold it still a moment. Maybe the stripe. No, now it's the finish makes everything glint off of it, so it's hard to. There, see those little lines? Anyway, and let me. Oh, here's one that might look good. Let me see. Don't get tangled up on me now here. Whoops. That's the problem, that where the light is. It wants, let me turn them both. So I'm starting to see that. Oh, look at that one. Oh, that is cool. So it's not perfect. It's not exactly what I wanted, but I think it'll work while I'm learning how to do this. Oh, this is pretty too. It's a little dark, but look at the colors. Almost reminds me of like a dark stained glass. But anyway, I will keep trying it again. And I will definitely, I think I put too much black in it. And so if I back off of that, I think, whoops, darn it. This shine shows the color, but unfortunately, it also has glare. Oh, well. Let me see if let me see how this one would do. Because this way, it's not on the glare. This is going to be my detail camera. Okay. But now I don't know if it's enough light to show the color. But, okay. Well, it's interesting. And each time I do it, I'll get a little better. And you'll notice I do not have out any tutorials on how to do it because I'm learning. Well, this opened to my little show and tell, so I'll go ahead and show and tell you because it just happened to be open, and I don't really have any pictures of my own here. You know, I wish I had taken one of my quilt on the frame. I might do a little video when I get back of me quilting. This is, whoops, now let me close this one. This is my daughter's U, and she's got a cute little lamb right there. And those are blue Leicester crosses. So let me see. Now, what's the next one? Oh, my daughter's quilt that was finished. And oh, look at this. Isn't that cute? So they're in the interior barn while the lambs get big and strong before she can put them outside. Look at those. They are beautiful quality lambs. I am so proud of her. They are well maintained and just simply beautiful. Oh, another picture of, I can't, my daughter has her wedding quilt like she should, and I'm going to my retreat and I can't show anybody. So I said, could you send me some pictures and then I'll print one? Here was the first lamb that was born when she got home. And he is a nice, big, sturdy fellow. Isn't he neat? That's called natural. That's called a natural color lamb. And then my daughter Katie, and you see the cathedral window quilt that I made her in the background? That quilt's heavy as can be. But anyway, she wanted to send. She's got her seeds out. It's time to start her seedlings for spring. I'm so excited for her. I used to do that every winter. I raised them helping me turn the trays so they would all get light. So that's wonderful. Okay, and here is my son and Russell, who just turned 7 the other day. He was born on my father's birthday, which to me just makes it all the more special. Okay, the back of the quilt. Now, this is a quilter's daughter. I said, can I have a picture of the wedding quilt? She knew to take a picture of the back because how that quilters want to see the quilting. Here's another picture of Katie's lambs. So they are wonderful. Oh, there was one. I don't know if this will come up. Let's just see. No, it's not. All right, let me close that out. Okay, now come back to pictures. I had a little video of the boys, but I don't think I downloaded it correctly. All right, now let's come up. Let's see. Here are Bonnie's photos. Whoops. Let me see who's first in the photos. I think it is Bonnie. Okay. So Bonnie has been a busy lady, very busy lady. All right. I'm just going to go along and show you because there's so many photos. And I teased and asked her when she slept because I really don't think, whoops, let me close this out. I really don't think she does a lot of sleeping. But, oh, I wish this would show up a little touch clearer. The reason this is a little fuzzy is because it is so tiny. She's so talented. And these are tiny little, it's called blackwork, very popular during the Jacobean times. And then she found some cute little bunnies that she got interested in. Look at this one. Isn't he the cutest fellow? So she was trying to work on another one. She saw that and thought, oh gosh, I love it. So, and that was a design she was doing. Here's her March table runner. Love it. And crooked trees. Here again is her dear little bunny. I just love that. And here it is finished. She has completed it. Quilting, stitching, everything. And I love how the border really shows the springtime joy. And then she even finished this little one. I forgot what she called this. She had a name for it, but that's cute. All right, so that's Miss Bonnie, who has been she wins the Busy Award this week. Okay, now let me see who's next. Debbie. Debbie sent brand new pictures, so let's jump right in and see these. Ah, these are so pretty. Are they pot holders or are they just mini quilts? I think it looks like it fits perfectly right there. I would hate to use something that complex as a pot holder, but it is beautiful. Oh, the other bunny was Rosie. Okay. I think you had a word for it, like she was an inspector or a boss or something. I can't remember the name, Bonnie. Look at this beautiful quilt hanging up. Perfect for springtime. Look at the trees and the birds out for springtime. Isn't that pretty? Her curved piecing is beautiful. Beautiful. I'm so glad she shares this stuff with us. And then look at these pieces. I love how it's geometric shapes down into fallen leaves. Oh, okay. So Debbie told me, let me go back to this. Okay, so they're bigger than I thought. These are supposed to be pillows. Thank goodness. I did not want to see, with all that applique on them, in fact, it looks like broderie purse kind of applique. I didn't want anyone to take out something from the oven on those. Rosie is the manager. Aha. Okay. I love it. I knew that there was a funny line you had for that. So, okay. So let's go back. Thank you, Miss Debbie. Let's go back to show and tell. And here we go. Next, Dolores. Let's see. I love these again. Oh my gosh. Remember, these are from those special fabrics. What are they called? Oh, they're very expensive and very precious hand dyed. And the word just is right out of my brain. I'm so sorry. But aren't they gorgeous? They look like suede. I love this. This is a challenge she's been doing. Look at this one. Isn't that just? It's so Art Deco with a little bit of Egyptian thrown in, which is perfect because during the Art Deco time period, Egypt was the thing. Here's her wonderful, amazing fox that she did. She felted. It's so beautiful. I just can't bear to delete it. So sorry. Here is a Luna moth that she made. Look at that. From beautiful lace. That's beautiful. And then this one. I think that is so cute. So cute. Okay, and this gorgeous, gorgeous horse. I would love to know. I mean, I think all of those tendrils of hair are cut separately and stitched down. I would assume it's fused, but it's absolutely beautiful. So that's our Miss Dolores this week. Very talented lady. Let's see. Hopi. No, I don't think Hopi has been going through some problems with arthritis, and if any of you have arthritis, you know how painful it is. She's having a rough time, so think good thoughts about her as they try to get her on the right kinds of medicine so that she can start doing more of what she loves most, all of her creative pursuits. So, okay, now look at this. This is from one of our new members, Karen Parker, and I dearly love this. Now, I'm going to do something real quick while we've got it right here. I am going to do a little bit of cropping because I want to get it as big as I can so you can see how beautiful it is. And hello, thank you, nice husband, for holding the quilt. So what we get our husbands to do. Here, hold this, honey. So, all right. So then I'll save it. Okay. Now I can make it nice and big. Look at this. Karen Parker wrote me and said that she's been watching some of my landscapes. Oh, take care, Miss Bonnie. Take good care, sweetheart. It's so good to share time with you. So I just wanted to show you that Karen Parker is probably one of our newest members. She wanted to do some landscapes. I sent her information and said, "Would you like to join our group?" And here she is. Look at this gorgeous landscape. Her very first one, as far as I know. Isn't it beautiful? So I can't wait to see. Oh no, Charlene sent 20 photos of your, oh, I can't wait to see it, Charlene. Oh gosh, well, tell you what, I don't have them yet, but I will. Next week we'll have a show and tell palooza because I'll be back with my retreat show and tell, and then we'll have your wonderful church show and tell. I love when your church does that. So, but way to go, Karen. Welcome to the group. Can't wait to see what you continue to make. It's really easy and fun, and it's just giving yourself the joy of cutting loose and having fun. Miss Mary, let's see. I think this was one of her new ones, a scrappy quilt, Christmas one. And then we're going to go, I just love her featherweight, and she's working with the indigos that I dyed that she got a couple years ago. So that's wonderful. Her beautiful, beautiful daffodil. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? And then this are the buds of a plum tree that's getting ready for spring. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? Looks so healthy. Look at that. And then here is the indigo quilt she made with my hand-dyed fabrics. I think that's amazing. Way to go. Oh, so pretty. I love blue and yellow. There's the back of it. Look at all those shark's teeth. A very dedicated woman, all those shark's teeth. Ah, and then this was one of her string quilts that I think is so, so wonderful. And as you can tell by my background today, I sure do like color. Now, I'm not a shrinking violet, I guess. Now, Miss Mare has been doing some amazing sewing. And look at her blocks. But wait till you see what she did with these. Look at those. Aren't they cute? I was trying to decide if it was going to be a book or what. Here it is. Look at this. Isn't that great? I love it. Love, love, love it. I love the caution tape, kind of, the be careful work zone here. Isn't that great? So, Mare, we applaud you. I think you get the most exciting quilt this week. That is fascinating. Look at the crane here. I mean, her great-grandson is going to love this. Love it. And then she says she has another one for another great-grandson. So they are very lucky to have Miss Mare. All right, let me see. Is there, I think Miss Marcia had sent me a snow picture here. And sorry, when I make it big, it gets a little blurry. But then I want to show you, here is the scooter sitting outside her door that she uses to get around. That is so cute. I love that. So thank you, Miss Marcia, for your pictures. And let me see. Miss Polly said she's working on learning how. Oh, she made this wonderful little shuttle, is what it's called, just like it was on a loom. And she made this shuttle to help herself. She winds the when you get ready to make a brand new Dorset button, you usually take 4 or 5 yards of pearl cotton. And so if you wind it on this, it makes making those Dorset buttons much easier. And now I forgot the specific kind that she's trying, that she's learning to make. I've forgotten what it's called. All right, I think we've got them all. So, okay. Oh, don't you just love these pictures? They are fantastic. So I just wanted to show just a few. I thought, if any of you have not done Dorset buttons, now they used to be made because they made lots of money for farmers during the winter. And I even remember as a child having a sweater with Dorset buttons on it. Didn't know what they were. And but I love making these. Now we make them just for fun. Here was my pumpkin I made. And here's just a pretty pearl Dorset button. I love this one. So many colors. And um, that's good for a springtime button. And you can use these as buttons. That's a more classic one. And here is when you use variegated thread, you get some really interesting results. And here is one of them. So if you want, I will do a simple tutorial coming up. Oh, I did a woven button. Back in the colonial days, remember I used to work at a museum and I made clothing for the interpreters? This is a woven button. You take a wooden ball and you make spokes. See those things right there where the ridges are? Those are spokes. And then you just go in and out all the way around till you make a woven button. Because please remember, these things used to be buttons used to be very expensive. Did I show you this one already? I'm not sure. Oh, this is perfect for St. Patrick's Day. But I'm so excited. Oh, and here, this is a woven button without the ball. So if you make this and use it on a shirt or nightgown, they're very resilient. I love stuff. Your son does stuff like that. Oh, I love it. He probably makes chain mail too. So here's a purple one, purple and gold. And as you can tell, I love more than just quilting. I love any of the arts, and especially hand arts that I don't want to see to fade out of existence. So I'm so excited. And Miss Polly, I am going to start cleaning this space when I get back from my retreat. And I made this, but it always gets tangled. It's like rainbow Dorset. So that one was a fail. Okay, I can't really see the kind that you're trying to learn to make. And when I get this room cleaned, we can sit, if you have any trouble with it, we'll sit together and we'll figure it out. So thank you so much for being here today. For not knowing what to have the show on, we sure filled up the time. Take good care of yourselves. Have a good week. I'll think about you this week, but I will be having fun at the retreat. Nancy and Becky and Heidi and Carol do a fabulous job with our retreat. And it's a lovely place. I hope to get a little walk in, and especially if it's not too hot. But take good care of yourself. Do something special just for you. And, you know, can't take care of other people if you don't take care of yourself first. Turn off the news and when you can. Oh, and speaking of that, next Saturday, I've got a march to go participate in. So any of you, if you're interested, March 28th, the day to be with your fellow citizens. Take good care, everybody. Have a good week ahead and stay well. All right. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for everything. Y'all are the best. You really are. Bye-bye. Thank you to Joe and Marcia, our wonderful moderators. Bye-bye.